Am I the asshole for telling my mom it wasn't cute or funny to dress me as a hot dog instead of a princess? So there's this new Target commercial going around where a little girl dresses as a hot dog, and it came on while my family was watching a scary movie. I, 20F, am home from college for the weekend and brought my boyfriend, and my mother, 57F, decided it would be hilarious to mention that she'd made me a hot dog costume as a kid, except the way she told the story, it was my request. She said that all the girls wanted to be Disney princesses, but I had asked to be a hot dog, and so she'd gone out of her way to make me that costume. This is not what happened, and I said as much. What actually happened is that I wanted to be Snow White, and had told everyone, including the teachers, that I was going to be Snow White. I was obsessed with that movie as a kid, to the point where I would actually get invested in doing chores because I was cleaning up just like Snow White. My dad and I would watch that movie all the time, and I was very excited to be Snow White for Halloween. Especially because my ballet studio was doing a special princess dance for Halloween, and we'd all signed up for special princess slots, and I'd shown up early with my dad the week before so I could get to be Snow White. My mother decided that she wanted to be quirky and that Snow White was a bad role model after I got in trouble for trying to cook dinner for my family. I was about 8, and I tried to make hot dogs, like how she made food for the dwarves in the movie, and I made a mess. My mom surprised me on the day with this crappy hot dog suit, and told me if I didn't wear it she'd never let me watch Snow White again. She took a million pictures, the other girls teased me for months, and it was one of the most humiliating moments of my childhood. I told the real story, and mentioned that I got through the day by pretending that she was the evil queen making me dress in rags, but the rags happened to be a garbage meat costume. She got really quiet after that, and after we left, my brother says she was crying and looking at the pictures from that Halloween. I didn't want to make my mom cry, but it's a shitty memory for me, and it felt like she was trying to humiliate me all over again in front of my boyfriend. Too long did not read. I called my mom out for forcing me to be a hot dog for Halloween and humiliating me as a child after she brought up the story pretending I'd wanted to be. Am I the asshole? Wow, what a shit move by your mom and to an 8-year-old. I'm glad you told the truth and stood up for yourself. I hope she learns. Geez, what a witch. I'm sorry that happened. Not the asshole. She clearly had a different perspective and you set her straight. Just because someone cries doesn't mean they're the victim in this. Especially if the truth is that not only did you not want to wear the hot dog, but she threatened your favorite movie as a result. Wear this or else? Like what the fuck? If this is true, it's pretty weird and messed up. I'd never force a costume on my child. That's such a weird ass thing to do. Your mom sounds like a real wiener. My mom made me dress as a clown. I am scared of clowns. She also didn't explain how the costume came off and I publicly peed myself. I'd say let it go, but that would be so hypocritical of me. So instead, make peace with your hot dog costume, but remember your mom for whitewashing the memory. My mom has a version of my childhood that did not happen at all. In my mom's version, it was all snowflakes, hugs, puppies, and unicorns, and that is not the reality I lived. I've since let it go as to that's what she needs to remember, and that's okay. It's not reality, but it's okay that she wants to remember it that way. It doesn't change what really happened, and if she needs to remember it that way, that's fine. I don't let it impact me. That said, I do get the absolute outrage for, that's fucking not what happened. I just shrug and let it go because I decided I don't care. Not the asshole. It was her choice to bring up the anecdote and lie about it. Am I the asshole if I refuse to donate my PTO to a coworker I know will die? I work healthcare and our department is pretty close-knit, not much drama or beef surprisingly. One of our ladies we found out has cancer. Docs haven't given her the absolute certainty she's terminal yet, but I'm sure with her age and comorbidities she's definitely going to be. Everyone has been very supportive, but we all know where this is going. She and I aren't very fond of each other, but I'm entirely professional and have expressed my feelings of sadness for her situation. Many of the hospital staff, nearly everyone in our department, has donated paid leave for her to take time off and spend with her family. She used hers regularly and has almost none apparently, and possibly received treatment, except me. People have asked why I didn't, and I just don't want to. I feel like it's throwing it away for an outcome I'm all but certain will happen. I'm not saving it for any particular reason. People in her circle have started talking about how I'm not actually sympathetic to her situation and mumbling little things here and there. I usually just tell them straight up it's a waste for me to give it to someone who I don't believe will give them more time to live. Just spend what time you have left with family and friends and be thankful for that. I'm unaware of her financial situation and frankly it doesn't concern me. Edit. My employer isn't making it known who donates, it's a group of people that started a sign-up sheet type thing for her. Probably to be given to her later. Edit 2. We do have FMLA but it is unpaid. You must burn through a certain amount of PTO days or have none before disability kicks in, and it's only 60%, I believe. The employer is clearly making this information public so other employees can pressure their peers into doing something the employer should be doing instead. It is shameful we work our whole lives in the US and have to beg for time off and feel badly about it. Not the asshole. Huge, you are the asshole. Because you're intentionally asking the wrong question. No, don't give up PTO, of course not. But also, oh my god, you should not be telling everyone how much of a waste you think it is because you think her dying makes her unworthy of your PTO. Just say you don't want to. Say anything else. Has anyone taught any of you to decline and ask without being unnecessarily cruel and nasty about it? Not the asshole for not donating because you don't owe her anything, but the way you talk about it, you absolutely do come across as callous and unempathetic to this woman. I wouldn't be surprised if your coworkers have feelings about that and there's some fallout. You're also setting the standard to make sure no one at work does you any favors. Calling it a waste makes you an AH. If you were to say that your PTO is one of the benefits for doing your job, and just like your 401k and medical coverage, you're keeping it, I'd say not the asshole. Just because you have the time doesn't mean someone else is entitled to it, whether they'll be alive in 3 months or not. Your motivation sucks, but also, it's no one else's goddamn business. First, you work for a shitty employer. Why are they not stepping up to help her beyond what's customary? Second, you work for a shitty employer that would encourage others to give their PTO up for another employee when they should be looking in the employer mirror. Third, you work for a shitty employer that somehow allows the public to know who has and has not given up PTO for another employee. Absolutely not the asshole. You are the asshole only for sharing the reasons why you don't want to donate. It would have been fine if you said, I may need all my PTO, so I'm not able to donate. Sorry, had to make a judgment about how it was worthless because the person was going to die was an unnecessary dig. Am I the asshole for refusing to take my turn hosting family dinners after everyone always bails on mine? I, 24F, come from a family that values big Sunday dinners, and we've always rotated between whose house we gather at. The idea is that everyone contributes by hosting one of these dinners, but recently, it feels like I'm the only one actually holding up my end of the bargain. Every time it's my turn to host, my siblings and even my parents seem to come up with last-minute excuses to skip. The last time I prepared a full meal, my sister canceled an hour before because she wasn't feeling well, and my brother had work stuff. I spent hours prepping and even made special dishes that everyone usually loves. This has happened several times now, and I'm starting to feel like my effort isn't being appreciated. Last week, it was my mom's turn to host, and everyone showed up, no excuses, no last-minute cancellations. Now, my turn is coming up again, and I don't feel like going through all the effort when no one ever shows up. When I told my family that I was thinking of skipping my turn and letting someone else host, they got upset. My dad said I was being dramatic and that it's just how family is sometimes, but I can't help but feel like I'm always the one getting the short end of the stick. Am I the asshole for refusing to host family dinners when no one ever shows up to mine? If you decide to host anyway, make a big pot of chili that you can freeze if they don't come. Or something else you can freeze. If they complain, just say mention the last time, and you would not waste food again. Do the dinner 1 or 2 times again. 2, because after you mentioned it to them, they will try to be on better behavior. Not the asshole. You could just agree to host then, at the last minute, cancel because you are sick and have work stuff. So are you saying that there have been multiple instances in which you invited the whole family to dinner, they said they were coming, you spent lots of time and effort preparing dishes specially intended for them, and then everyone canceled on you at the last minute? That's bonkers, not to mention utterly disrespectful of your efforts. Definite not the asshole, and you should tell anyone trying the but family card on you that you think family should show up to an event you planned for them after they told you they would be there. Not the asshole, especially if this is happening often. I'd invite them again, and when everyone arrives, have a few appetizers and order pizza, once you know how many people are there. Then you aren't putting out much effort or cost up front. And if anyone complains, remind them that you've on multiple occasions made a whole big dinner and none or few show up. I'd just make up your favorite foods that freeze well, and when they don't show up you have a stack of meal prep done. I'd also keep track of what's happening so you can discuss it further with them to show it's a pattern of disrespect, not a random occurrence. That if you want to stay in contact with them, that is. Not the asshole. Oh, and is also point out that the notice given to you was unacceptable. If things like sickness or work obligations happen, they surely have more than an hour's notice and should prioritize letting you know. Info. Do you live somewhere hard to get to? Are you a lousy housekeeper? Live someplace your family thinks is scary. Since it's happened multiple times, I wonder if your family is too embarrassed to tell you what the actual issue Am I the asshole for continuing to use a phrase when addressing my kids despite my husband not liking it? I, 38F, have 4 young kids with my husband, 40M. They are 5 years old, 4-year-old twins and a 1-year-old. Our kids are well behaved in general. Anyone with young kids can confirm sometimes they have tantrums or get upset. Sometimes it's over big things and sometimes it's over something silly. For example, our 5-year-old was upset this morning because his shoes weren't blue. They've never been blue, they've always been green. Today I guess he just felt like having blue shoes. A phrase I use when calming my kids down over smaller issues is, "What's the story, macaroni?" They love when I say this, even when they are fussy or upset. I'm not sure why, but maybe it's just as simple as they think I see them as macaroni. Maybe it's the silliness of it. I can't remember where I heard it. It's effective, helps them work through their emotions so we can work on communicating why we're upset and what can be done to fix it. For those wondering, in my 5-year-old's case, the solution was letting him put stickers on his shoes. All is well again lol. My husband hates when I say it. He has asked me several times not to say it because to him it sounds too childish. His approach is more strict and he doesn't take the more kid-friendly approach. He would tell our 5-year-old that his shoes won't turn blue just because he is upset and he shouldn't throw a fit over something he can't change. This would have upset our son further, not made him stop fussing. I feel like sometimes kids have very big and valid feelings but might not know how to express that in a constructive way. I prefer to take the silly approach for these smaller issues. My kids respond positively to it and it works. I don't use it for every situation but on smaller issues I feel it is fine. I have tried not to say it around my husband as he doesn't like it. The kids love it and the oldest will sometimes even ask me to say it even if he's not upset, so I can't always avoid it even when he is there. I might be the asshole because it's clear my husband really doesn't like this phrase. Am I the asshole because I haven't stopped saying, "What's the story, macaroni?" Not the asshole. It honestly sounds like a trigger now for your kids to know that mummy is listening to them and has their undivided attention. That's a good thing. And will this be an appropriate response as they age? Maybe not, but it sounds like you've got enough common sense to know that as your kids age, the language changes with them. Too childish for kids under 6 years old. Really? I'm the boss applesauce. Don't get wise bubble eyes. See what I mean jellybean? What's the trouble bubble? You're a poet but didn't know it. But your toes sure show it because they are Longfellows. These are the things my dad said all the time. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your husband is. Tell him to lighten up. Keep on saying it. In time, they'll be saying it to your grandkids. Not the asshole. Am I the asshole because I haven't stopped saying, "What's the story, macaroni?" It makes the kids feel better and you can get to a resolution. My husband hates when I say it. He has asked me several times not to say it because to him it sounds too childish. His approach is more strict and he doesn't take the more kid-friendly approach. He would tell our 5-year-old that his shoes won't turn blue just because he is upset and he shouldn't throw a fit over something he can't change. This would have upset our son further, not made him stop fussing. Your husband is a massive though. His approach makes the kids more upset and does not help work to a resolution. Your kids are going to resent him in the future for acting like their feelings have no validation and they have no voice. Not the asshole. You are helping your children express their feelings in a healthy way. Maybe your husband never had a parent guiding him and was always taught to get over it, without having the room to express himself first. He might not know how beneficial your approach is. How you teach them to regulate their emotions and think of a solution because he was never taught this. You are not silly, you are taking your children seriously and don't dismiss their feelings.